A couple of weeks ago I put on my channel a Banshee encounter with Steve and Jackie, where they spoke about their experience while up over on Winter Hill. While I was over and speaking to them both, we had the camera rolling and we carried on talking. I put a sort of an interview together, so I hope you enjoy this as much as I enjoyed being in Steve's and Jackie's company while we were discussing all things paranormal.
You know, we've said many times, you know, I mean, if you had to add up the things that we have seen, it's thousands now. Yeah. But like I say, it's probably 1 or 2% of the time. We might even take a photo or video, only 1 or 2% of the time.
But then sometimes...
Yeah, I mean, we got some great stuff on video and photos, but, you know, it's only 1 or 2%. And, you know,
but it's like the phenomena, it doesn't want you to photograph it as well.
Well, sometimes, yeah, we've had sightings and things. I mean, we don't have to go far to see these things. No. You know, they come to us, you know, and we're out here and we see them regularly and we film them. If people are here, they see them and I've filmed them. Yeah. We had quite a good one maybe about 3 months ago. Yeah, and it was a craft that was coming over. It was really slow. And it was just coming over, and it wasn't very high. Maybe what, 200 or 300 foot.
Yeah,
it's only pretty low, and it was a craft. This is not a ball of light; it's a craft, and it's kind of diamond shaped, but a bit more pointed at one end than the back end. Right, yeah. And there were 5 lights on it, and it was red, orange, and red and red. So it was like red, orange, red, and you know, so it was like going to the V. And it had a hue around it of orange. And it was coming over very slow, no sound whatsoever. And I was like, what the hell? You know, and of course we're looking at this thing. So of course, I get my camera from my phone, and Jackie's got her phone, and we're both stood out here, and we're filming it. But as soon as I put the phone on, I thought, what the hell? I said, I'm looking at it, and then I'm looking at the phone, and they're not the same. They're not the same. I'm seeing a craft, and I'm looking at, and all I'm getting is a ball of orange light. Yeah. Right, yeah. And I thought, and I'm looking at it, and you can hear us on her cell phone, my cell phone, because I'm saying, Jackie, you seen a shape there? And she's saying, well, it's triangle, but it's not. It's diamond shaped, but it's not on the phone. Yeah. So when she was filming it, and it was happening to her. So one of 2 things must be happening here, Mick, and it simply is that they know the phone technology so well that they can adversely affect the phone so the phone does not capture the real aspect of what the visual of it is. Yeah. Or what we're seeing is a craft, but what it really is there is a ball of light. Yeah. It can only be one of the 2. Either way, it's profoundly strange because you think the camera should act as your eye. If you've seen something, it should be the same, but it wasn't. And it was great to see an example of that, because I've heard people say this before, and most of the time when we're filming what we're seeing. Mm-hmm. But on this occasion, being it was quite a very well structured craft. There was some reason we weren't allowed to record it as we were seeing it. It was a very structured craft, but no way. It was just a ball of orange light. And what happened was it traversed slowly over here.
And blinked
and then it got small. It just shrunk in size, and then pop, gone. And it's just like, what the hell? And we both got it on camera, you know. It's so strange.
My son isn't into all this kind of stuff. Yeah. But we was out here one night, and I saw something up in the sky, and I said to Mike, I went, "Oh, look at that!" And my son likes, you know, planets and moons. He's in like astrology.
Oh, astronomy, yeah.
Astronomy. And so of course he saw this, and I said, "Are you watching it?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "It's not a satellite, that. It's moving a bit too quick." And then all of a sudden, we both saw a flash, and it was gone. And sort of like, so Mike looked at me and I looked at Mike and went, okay. We went in. And it's just like, leave it, don't question it, just leave it.
Yeah, we see quite a lot of different things.
Do you think you're seeing these because you're aware of it, or do you think there is?
There's a definite connection, yeah, because Jackie's got it, you know, sometimes a bit more than me sometimes.
Yeah.
So between the pair of us, you know, we'll get the insight to go and look. And we don't know why, do we? We just kind of, for some reason, we just go to the window and look, or go out the back door and look. Yeah. And you don't know the reason. There's no thought in your head about why did I do that.
Yeah.
But as soon as you step out, you'll see it. You know, it's in the sky, and somehow you manage to be able to pick it out in a sky of clouds and things. Yeah. Somehow you just kind of go zoom. You know what I mean? It's a weird sensation, isn't it? Yeah. You should be hunting the skies, going, where the bloody hell is it? You don't. You just go zoom. There it is. For some strange reason, there's some kind of connection or something.
Definitely.
And most of the things we've seen are usually spherical. Oh no, some aren't though, are they? But we'll come to that. But most of them are spherical, and some of them, because we were filming one here, and we even had people. This is Christmas Day, of all days, Christmas Day, and it was absolutely bang on 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean, bang on 3 o'clock. I looked up at the clock. It 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We were just sitting down for dinner, Christmas dinner, and we had friends over, and I was sat there, and there it was again. It's like I have to look through the window. There's something in the sky, and it's just hovering here. So of course we all came out, we all filmed it, and when you look at this thing, it's clearly an object of some sort, and it looks kind of spherical, and it's moving around backwards and forwards and a bit like this sort of thing. But every now and again, it's like a tracer of something that comes out from the bottom of it, like a little jet engine go sort of thing. You can see this stuff, can't you?
Yeah. You see, I couldn't capture that on my phone.
Yeah,
But
Jerry had a better phone and zoomed in a bit and got it. We got it.
And he captured that.
Yeah.
But we were both focused on the actual...
Yeah, the object. But we see lots of things like that, and we've had them up in the sky here many times, and we've filmed them many times. But then we've just been travelling. I mean, even when we're travelling, just going down the road. I don't know if we were going to the shops one day.
We were going to the radio station, but I went down there to fill up with fuel.
That's right.
And I saw these objects in the sky.
We were both sat in the car again.
And this was heading into Salford, and the next thing is these were like darting around, and so I pulled the car over and I said to Steve, what are them there? And Steve said, well, yeah, I've just been watching them. And it was really...
There were 4.
There was 4 of them, and they were moving very
discs.
quick. This is in the day.
These are silvery discs.
Yeah.
But there were 4 together, and then they shot out.
They actually split.
But went that way, not that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, when you think of flying saucers,
way,
it went like, it flipped and went that way.
And then shot off. So it kind of flipped.
Yeah, so 2 went that way, 2 went that way. They were all grouped together originally.
And I thought...
we looked at each other, what the bloody hell?
Surely we're not the only ones that
Surely, we're looking around, nobody's looking.
What is going on? But then I've got this tendency now, like Google, see if anybody's reported anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, nothing came up. So, you know, it was...
So many strange things. We turned the corner of the road one night. It was dark when it was that night.
Oh, yeah.
And we're just pulling up outside the house, and something came flying over. Now, whatever it was pitch black.
Yeah.
But it was blacker than the sky.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm saying. And there were no sound. There were no lights. It was just an object of something, and it just came over, did it right over the house again.
Yeah. Right.
And we saw it. What the hell is that? No idea.
We've seen balls of light in a tree.
Oh, yeah, there's a big tree opposite here.
Yeah.
You know, so our bedroom faces the tree, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think we're drawing the curtains one night.
Yeah, it was a ball of light, and it was just manoeuvring in and out.
It's going round the tree, the branches. It's about this big, going round like this, and it was manoeuvring around the branches as if to avoid them. And so we look at this, come and looking at it, and then it just went shoom, gone. Why is it in a tree right opposite us?
Yeah.
Literally, what, 30, 40 feet in front of us?
Being
just at that
aware of the
time.
branches as well.
Yeah, moving around the branches. I thought.
It's weird. I've never
So,
seen out like
so
that.
when you put all these things down, you go, we've got to have something connected here. For these things to just be so local to us, 40 foot across the road, 16 foot across over here, and it just doesn't make any sense. So we know there's something.
It's you, 'cause of what
I think
you
it's
do.
us. I think it is me because I experience things as well, but I have for a long time since I was a kid. It started when I was 7. But then when I got with Jackie had also had experiences. So together, I think we've just
Like a
kind
double
of
whammy.
a double whammy maybe. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. But
It was.
it's strange.
It was.
And it's not just
something
UFO
about-
stuff, is
Yeah,
it?
about
all
must have been about
sorts of
3 or
things.
4 years ago. I was woken in the early hours. It's like 1:30 in the morning, and I felt the house shaking.
You could
And
see vibration.
He was asleep. He was
moving
asleep,
things.
and I thought, what is that? I looked out the window, nothing there. I thought. So anyway, I woke him up and I said, and he went, "What's that?" And I said,
What is that?
I don't know. So I got up, I got dressed. He got up, he got dressed.
It must have been
And
early, maybe 2 or 3 in
The
the morning.
house, you could feel the house really vibrating.
You could feel it through you.
But when I
couldn't you?
but when I looked out the window, there was nobody out of their houses or anything, and it was a loud noise. So we came out the back.
Well, I said to you, there's got to be something over the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, right over the house.
My son was hearing it because he was hanging out the window, but he couldn't see it because it was hovering over next door,
Right.
but a bit
Just here,
further,
just above.
right?
Yeah.
So he came out and I came out. I followed him out, and we're watching this helicopter.
Well, assume it's a helicopter, but
Yeah.
it's not got lights.
It's got no lights
It's,
on
it's
it.
a shape of a helicopter.
Yeah, no lights on it. Blacked out.
It's a black
windows.
It's a black ops
Yeah.
helicopter.
No markings on it. Nothing.
Right over the house.
And it's just hovering there. And I thought, why the hell is it hovering? And so I ran out the front into the middle of the street, and I was looking up at it, and I'm thinking, why? And it wasn't really a great height.
No, it's low.
And there was nobody, no neighbours peeping through the windows or anything. I'm thinking, why are they?
Why is nobody can hear
Why
this?
can they not hear
A right racket.
You
This
could
wasn't.
hear it.
This wasn't where you've got special helicopters which
No.
can whisper mode and stuff. No, it was make a hell of a racket.
It was
this thing.
because my lad.
Well, it was like we're the only ones hearing this.
Yeah. And then he said, grab my phone. So I went up, ran upstairs, grabbed his phone, came back out. He flicked his phone on,
As soon
pointed
as I
it up,
switched it on,
flew off.
as soon as I got the camera and I went like that, it went.
Whoomp, gone.
Did they know?
Yeah.
I have no idea, but he had no lights. It was a black. It looked like a black ops helicopter.
There was
It sounds
nobody-
ridiculous, really.
Nobody out. And at
But
that, I can't get
I
through
can't
that
understand. Why is the vibration so bad in the house
one. Yeah.
that you can feel it and you can feel the vibrations going through you and everything, the whole house shaking.
It was.
It's like, what the hell was that? It's not just vibration from an aircraft over you. It was something more, but don't make no idea though.
No.
But we've had paranormal things. We have all sorts of weird and strange things, paranormal incidents, things hammering at the door. That was a great one. That one.
was,
It was like a bloody bailiff. We were sat there one night, watching. Was we watching telly? Oh no!
No, it was in the office.
We were in the office. My office upstairs, which is right above the front door.
Yeah.
And as you've seen as you're coming in, I've got a little step inside, haven't you? To my front door. So we were in there, and all of a sudden we had this, literally a fist, boom, 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 on the front door.
So you looked out the
So
window
immediately,
straight
within a second, I'm stood up and I'm looking. Who the hell's knocking like a bloody bailiff?
The light came on, so that
Yeah,
was
the
an
security light
indicator.
came on. So someone, I thought, okay, someone must have walked up.
So
the
he said, go and answer the door, send me down. Like,
you go
why
and
don't
answer
you?
the door, because I'm thinking, I can't see anybody. But they must be there, because there's no way they could have got away so fast. So I bet they stood inside, just underneath, right up against the door. So Jack's going and answer the front door. I'm looking like this. So she goes and answers the front door. There's nobody there.
Nobody.
So it's like, I'm looking at her and she's looking around. There's nobody.
So you're watching. So
I'm
you would
watching.
have seen someone.
Yeah,
move
there's
on
nobody
You
there.
would have seen somebody run.
I only saw Jackie coming out, so I said, right. I said, well, I've got CCTV cameras at the front.
Ah, right, yeah.
Let's get the CCTV camera on. So we did. And I swear to God, it's like the camera, there's this tiny little blue line in the video. I said, what's that little blue line? And that little blue line was like literally 30 seconds deleted.
Just took it out.
In them set right when it happened.
Yeah.
It's like whatever did it, he's took out 30 seconds of that video. Just right there.
So
and I don't know how it even could do that. You know, so I don't actually even see Jackie go out.
No.
Do you know, it was so weird. We've had it where they've opened the front door and it's a 5-lever lock, so he has to go sort of thing, and it's got a bleeper on the door because of the alarm, and you know.
There's all sorts gone on.
Somebody was upstairs, we were walking around. We were sat in the lounge. This is the early days, because when I got to Jackie's a bit spooked about paranormal, I was quite okay with it. Because most haunted had been here, you know, at the house. Because they wanted to film stuff and stuff, because there was all sorts going on, you know. And I was trying to get... So Jackie, look, you've got to not panic.
Yeah.
Right? When things happen, let me walk you through what to do. So, of course, I've been going through this process with her. We're sat watching TV, and all of a sudden, we pause it. Somebody's walking around upstairs.
And he said, he's micing, and I said, no, he's
I
out.
said, well, who's walking around upstairs? And she's listening.
There's nobody in.
So there is. So, of course, it's night, isn't it?
So he gets up, and he runs upstairs in the dark, and as he runs upstairs, I run out.
Well, I'm thinking she's behind me. She's down the street, mate. She's gone. She's gone.
There's no way
I'm trying to teach her about how to, you know, don't be afraid of these things. I look behind. There's no sign of her. She's not even in the house. She's down the street. You know, so, you know, I mean, don't bother me, because you can tell, you know, I'm running up there in the dark. Because I've always had this thing about, I just want to grab him. And something takes over me and I go, you bugger, you know what I mean? I'm going up there, I'm going after you, sort of thing. I'm going to grab you, you swine. And that's what's going through my mind, so I'm just running up in the dark, thinking she's on my tail.
No,
she was gone. She was like...
If it's going to get anybody, it's going to get him, not me.
She was gone. So we have a cocktail of so many things. So many things. I mean, of course, there are some really, really profound things that have happened here when I woke up at 3 o'clock and she doesn't even wake up sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, there was a time when I saw light coming through and it was orange and it was hitting, because we leave the curtains open a little bit, don't we?
At night.
And there was an orange light coming through. When I went to the toilet, came back in, what's that orange light? Because it's casting light onto the wardrobe coming from the window. I thought, well, that's strange, because we don't have... Initially, I didn't think, because I thought, oh, it's street lights. And then I thought, we don't have orange street lights anymore. You know, sodium lighting's gone with the white LED lights now on the street light. So I thought, well, where's that? I'll go and look. I can't see anything. I look down at me, and I've got this silhouette in an orange light. I look behind me, I can see my shadow. And I'm looking, I thought, there's nothing here. So what's casting light? Well, I can't see. And then, gone. Light switched off like a light bulb. It's gone.
I saw that the other night.
Yeah.
It was like a white light. And again, it was in the middle of the night. I just come out of the bathroom and all of a sudden I saw this like white light just light up. It kind of, where he's lying, it just lit up.
Yeah.
And then it lit up again. And I immediately opened the door and there was nothing there. And I got to the window, because it's not far to the window, and there's no cars, no nothing. But the light was directly where he was lying. Yeah. And and I thought, well, if it had been a car coming down, it would have hit. It would have hit the wall.
It wouldn't be on me.
It wouldn't be on him.
Yeah. But it was on me, apparently.
But it was a really intense white light that just went boom.
And then we have the flashes,
and then boom.
don't we?
Yeah.
Flashes, indoor flashes.
Yeah.
Like little storms and things, you know.
Yeah, it's really weird.
It's like, what the hell is that? You know?
They've only started recently, the flashing. It's really weird.
But it's extremely bright. It is like a lightning bright, you know. That's happened recently, hasn't it?
Yeah.
You know. But there's always something.
You're speaking about hearing voices as well.
Oh, God.
Do you hear one as well?
Yeah.
Well,
we had little girls speaking there, didn't we, in the kitchen?
well,
right there next to me. It's like 3 foot away from me.
the thing is, that's how Steve got involved in my case in the early days. Because
the only way to cool it down was I had to move in.
Yeah, yeah, he moved in, they moved out. But what I was experiencing was, I was of a night, and there's only me and my son in the house. And like I say, my son's not into anything like this, so I kind of didn't engage anything. And this particular night, I was lying in bed, and all of a sudden I could hear like a woman's voice whispering, but I couldn't make out what it was. And this was like the start of it, so I'm kind of trying to listen, and then I thought no, I just dismissed it and let it go. And then my son was on his PlayStation with his mates one night, and next door Jonathan was round with his friends on the PlayStation. Now, unknowns to me, Jonathan's in that room, Mike's in that room with their mates, and they're all on the PlayStation. We didn't know they were there. They obviously knew we were here. And all of a sudden I could hear this knocking on the skirting board. And
it sounds like knocking on the skirting board.
Yeah, knocking on the skirting board. And I said, and it was definitely coming in Mike's room, and Mike was going, oh. So I just turned around and I said to Mike, I said, look, just turn the volume down a bit, you know, because I said, obviously, this is somebody next door. So he turned it down a bit. And then within a matter of minutes, there was knocking again. And I thought, well, he's turned it down, how low do you want it to go? So anyway, I went in, I said, look, Mike, just turn it down a bit more. And he went, oh, God. So he turned it right down to the bare minimum. And then there was knocking again. And I thought, it's crazy, this. I said to Mike, I said, just ignore it and just carry on. So anyway, the following day, Jonathan was coming out of the house, and I was walking out, and I shouted him over. I said, look, I'm really sorry about last night. And he went, what about? I said, obviously Mike was on his PlayStation with his mates. I said, you know, I thought it was a bit loud for you. And he went, well, no. He said, I was in the back on my PlayStation with my mates. He said, and you were knocking on the skirting board. And I went, well, no, you were knocking on the skirting board. And he went, no, it was you. And I went, no.
Turn that neither.
and that was the interaction. Yeah. So they were more or less, they were turning theirs low. They were turning theirs low. That went on
for a while in different places around the house. In different
parts of the house that went on.
The knocking.
Knocking.
You know. Well, when you talk about poltergeist, don't you usually start with knocking?
It's audible to things, audible disturbances.
Well, it does, because the house was empty at the time, and they were gradually moving in. And I was awoken at 6 o'clock one morning, Sunday morning, and I could hear like high heels in the bedroom next door. High heels. I thought, oh, that's strange. I didn't think anything of it. And then, the next time I saw Jonathan, and I said, oh, you were up early this morning, thinking, and he went, oh, I wasn't here this morning. It was 6 o'clock this morning. I said, I heard high heels walking across the floorboards in the bedroom. He went, no, all the bedrooms are carpeted.
Just a lot of weird, strange things.
And it was just like little things
they kind
like
of
that.
Progressed into light phenomena, and we had the ball of light. Then we started with a flash from the doorway.
It was like a flash, because I was due to go away on holiday on the Monday, and this was the Friday night. It was tea time. It was summer. So I know, and when I came home from work, it was clear. It was a clear day like this. And I was just coming out the kitchen, and just as I got to the door, there was like a flash of light. I thought that was weird, because it's clear skies.
Yeah, we don't tend to get flashes. It seemed like the flashes lights inside a bit, didn't it?
Yeah.
You don't really get that.
Yeah, and then as I walked to the living room door, my instincts told me to look left, and as I looked left, I saw this like ball of light, and it was give off this flowing like lime green.
It left a trail of stuff as it moved. It left like a wispy trail.
Yeah, it's like a whispery. Yeah, it was really weird. And I was watching it, and I didn't even think to go for my phone, which was right there.
Yeah.
I was too focused on that, and that was it was heading towards the wall
Between the houses, between
the
us and next
houses.
door.
And then
the
as
lounge.
it got to the picture, it just kind of like fizzled out. And I
Maybe
thought,
go through or something. I don't know.
it was really, really weird, and I've never seen that since. That was the only time I saw that.
No.
But again, I've had friends in that have heard like a growling, and they don't believe in it. But
Talking, growling.
talking. I've been woken in the night by something
Being touched.
squeezing my hand,
Yeah.
and it was a man's hand because it was quite big. But I didn't dare open my eyes. I didn't want to see what was
No,
sat
it's
there.
a cocktail of so many different things. You could say, well, that's that and that's this. You know, paranormal, supernatural, ufological.
What about the history around here? What was here before they built?
Well, it used to be a pig farm.
That's all it was. Pig
That's
farm.
it, and that's it. There's nothing.
Nothing.
What about the collieries around here? How far away?
No.
Well, I'm not familiar with Bolton, so I don't know. I only know the ones in Salford.
Yeah. There's
but I don't
nothing
know.
really around the chair.
Don't know where the collieries were around here.
Nothing being too local. You know, we have to travel a little bit.
Yeah.
No, it seems to be. I don't know.
So do you think it's since you've
Sauce?
both been interested? Well, you've always been interested.
Well, I had experiences when I was like 5 years of age. Woke up in the early hours of the morning, and I saw a silhouette of a person outside the window, as if they were looking in, but the curtains are shut, so I'm only seeing the figure. I started screaming to the point where my dad come running in, but I was like clinging to him. I just was scared to death. And I said, there's somebody at the window, and my dad said, there's nobody there. And he went and had a look out the window, and he said, there is nobody there. And I went, there was somebody stood there, and I just wouldn't let him go. And you know, and that was like the start of the experiences that I had at that early age.
I take it with this window is a second floor window.
Yeah.
Yeah. Similar.
Yeah, so nobody could be outside then.
Yeah, and the lights back then were the orange lights, so they were quite bright. You know, they're not like nowadays where the LEDs and they're quite dim. But these were really bright lights, so it was quite a prominent figure at the window. And to this day, I mean, you know, it's like I say. I mean, the only time I had an experience was this from friends yesterday, and we just happened to be talking about shadow people, and she had an experience, but she told me about her experience after I told her about mine. Obviously, a few years ago, I'm probably going back about 20 years ago now. I was watching telly in bed, and I don't know whether I was asleep. I don't think I was, but I was watching the telly, and all of a sudden my eyes panned to the left, and this figure came walking through the door. Now, it was just a black figure. There was no features on it. It was just a black figure, and it came walking up the side of the bed, and it leaned over and it kissed me on the cheek. Now I could feel the breath, and then it went out of the door, and at that point I started screaming, and I kind of think, was I asleep? I don't know, but it was just bizarre that I saw it coming in the door, up the side of the bed, and I felt the breath on my cheek. So I'm kind of in two minds with that one, whether I was asleep or whether I wasn't asleep.
I think what we can agree though is that I think when we talk about these things, we go back, it tends to be an initiated experience when we're young.
Yeah.
That kind of leads you into having further experiences.
Yeah.
Because you had an experiences when you were young, about 5 years of age. Jackie was about 5. I was 7.
Well, that was it. And mine started at 5.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember it, and it was after my father had passed on. He died of leukemia, and from that time onwards, I remember all these little experiences. But when you look back, you remember there were a lot of little experiences.
They kind of all mount up. Because at the time, I didn't think anything of it. Never thought anything of it. But again, the big experience he had with the UFO was in Salford, and it was of an evening, and there was nobody on the streets, and we're talking about 8 o'clock at night.
How old was you then?
I was 13 then.
13.
And I saw it going over. It was huge. To me, now when I think about it, that was like a mothership. And it was slowly, low level, going over. It was oval in shape. It had a light going round it, and it was going slowly, really. And I was focused on it, and I was looking round, and there was nobody in sight. And I was following it, and it got down towards near Salford Precinct, and it shot up. And it shot up at great speed that it left a streak behind it.
A streak of light.
Yeah. And I went in, and I told my mum and dad, and they kind of like looked at me and dismissed it, and I thought, oh,
like they
do. Yeah. So I was in my bedroom, and I was telling our John about it, and he went, right, okay. So I thought, yeah, nobody believes me. I've seen it. Nobody believes me. And then the next thing is, my brother had the radio on. He had Piccadilly Radio on, and that was when it was Piccadilly Radio at the time. So it was like 1979.
Local Manchester radio station.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, the music cut out, and the DJ made a huge announcement by saying, "Will people please stop ringing into the radio station of reports of a UFO in Salford?" And I thought, thank God for that. It wasn't only me that saw it. And then, so my brother ran into my mum and dad and went, "She did see a UFO." And from that day on, I thought, right, okay. So that kind of was kind of going on and on and on, you know, throughout my life, and similar things, paranormal things, but again, it didn't bother me then. It really didn't bother me.
See, when I got to about maybe 16, 17, people say, you know, don't worry about it, Steve. You know, when you're a child, you expect these weird things, experiences. They all disappear when you become a teenager.
Yeah.
Because your chemistry and your body changes, and you start getting interested in girls and all that sort of thing. Life comes along. No. I said it just ramped up. Yeah. And it's ramped, and it's never stopped to this day. You know, and it still is prominent today, isn't it? Yeah. Just as I was as a kid. It just won't leave me alone. Yeah. Since that first experience, I had a bedroom visitor. As I've said, came out the darkest of the corner of the room. Yeah. I don't know why I'm awake at 3 o'clock in the morning. Just to give something like that. Never am done when I'm a child. I was only 7. I would never wake up early hours at 3 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, this thing was there, and that was the start of it. And then after that, it's just a barrage of UFOs, paranormal. Used to have a little. There was a first little man that turned up. There'd be a hole in the wall at the pier, and it'd go in the hole. It was like something would open and go inwards to relieve it, sort of see a hole. And he used to be a little man, and he used to go like this. And I thought, you must be a joke. I'm not going anywhere near you. He was going like this, trying to beckon me, you know. Well, I was well out of that room. I had swapped rooms several times, you know, backwards and forwards, because I was thinking it was down to the rooms, you see. And Mum and Dad trying to keep me settled, you know. And I woke up, there was, I think, about 5 or 6 of these ones. I used to call them the Diddy Men. And they were all around the bed. And that happened a few times. Balls of light used to come through the window, through the glass, not through the open window. Used to come through the glass, about the size of a tennis ball. 3 of them, sometimes 2, sometimes 3. Never one alone, never one. And they were quite bright, white, and they'd just move. I don't know what even they were. They'd move around the room, and then they'd go out and disappear again. Saw them a few times, then apparitions. I used to see faces come out the wall, and God, you know. So, of course, my mum and dad, when I'm 10, took me to see a child psychologist. And I remember this so plainly, so very vividly, that he was going through questions. They had to leave the room, And I was sat there with him, he's going through questions, show me pictures. What do you see in this? And, and all sorts of different things, asking me questions. And then he invited me mum and dad back in, and I was sat in his chair, and they was sat either side of me. And I remember him saying to him, so, well, Mr. and Mrs. Mera, he says, as far as I'm aware, you've got a perfectly healthy 10-year-old boy. And I didn't even know why I was there, to be honest with you. No idea, but it's just part and parcel. And you kind of get on with it, but it never let up. I would say the non-human things, about 4 times in the bedrooms in my life, last time was it last year? There was a big one and a small one, funny enough.
Yeah, last year,
There was a taller one, about 5 foot, and one about 3 foot.
That was weird.
Yeah.
Because he was really upset with that.
Eh?
What did he look like?
Well, like greys,
Right, yeah.
Because he woke me up and he says, he said, I've been trying to wake you up and you won't wake up. And
something happened on that one. I don't know what happened, but something happened, and I was
said,
pretty.
where did they
don't
go?
know why I was upset, but I was upset.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know why I'm upset.
He was crying.
Makes me think that something is happening that I was aware of. I'm remembering that caused me to be upset, and then when they left, they took that memory away, and I find myself I'm upset, but I don't know why. That was about a year ago, wasn't it?
Because I said, where did they go? And you said they went
They
to
went
the
out
wardrobe.
the wardrobe.
Wardrobes, why is it always a wardrobe?
I don't know. Went into the wardrobe. Can't go in the wardrobe really, but they went into the because there's a sliding door, not an opening door. They went into the wardrobe.
But we was at Belmont yesterday with some friends, and we were talking about shadow people and things like that. And she was saying that a friend of hers and her husband were up. I don't know where it was, where they were, but they were up. They were up there on the. I don't know. I think it might have been Rivington. I don't know, but they were up there, and they heard this engine, and they looked up and they saw this like a World War II plane coming over. But they were watching it as it was coming over. They were watching it going down.
Right.
And the next thing is, it disappeared, and they said they heard what appeared to be a crash. So he ran, and he was trying to find where this crash was, and he ran to the top of this hill or somewhere. Nothing, can't see, no crash, no nothing. And she said it was really weird. And now I do remember there was a plane crash up there. This is the only thing I know. There was a plane crash up there. I'm not sure if it was in the 50s from the Isle of Man.
48.
Was it 1948?
48, yeah.
And that was a plane carrying people from the Isle of Man. And it crashed. It went down.
Near the trig point up there. Yeah.
Right. That's the only one I know of. Not heard of the warplane going down. But
there are people that have reported these things, haven't they?
Yeah, but this plane, what crashed there at that time, was silver in colour.
Right.
And if I'm thinking it's the same, I've had a similar report, but it were all quiet, of a grey plane coming over, and it was that close. They could actually see the rivets in the plane.
Really? But not hear it?
But not hear it.
Aye,
and it came over, and again, it went over, and they were half expecting a bang.
Yeah.
As it crashed?
Yeah, as it crashed, but nothing at all.
They heard, this is what I was told, they heard the engines, and they saw it going down, and they heard a crash. And that's when he ran, because he was expecting to find flames or whatever, but they said it was definitely a World War II plane.
Yeah, I mean, those things do.
Phantom
bomber incidents do happen. I mean, I investigated the ones at Peak District, interviewed Tony Ingalls, I think his name was. He had an experience. I think he saw it but couldn't hear it, but it was very, very low. And it was, I think, from what I can remember, I think he said it was a Dakota or something like that, or a Douglas, I can't remember now. But it was the early 90s, I think that was. I think it was in the 90s, when I was investigating that. And there were quite a few people. He was walking his dog. He had a golden retriever. It won't go down the road again. You know, he's trying to pull it, and he wouldn't. So it kind of spooks his dog a little bit. You know, and these recorded events are really pretty weird because, you know, it seems that some hear them and don't see them. So sometimes it's literally right above them and they can't see nothing. Or it's the other way around. You know, they're seeing them, not hearing them. You know, and explosions, of course. But some of the people that report them, you look through the details, it looks to be like of that aircraft from that time, that era, you know, which came down in that same way, that location. You know, so it's very strange, isn't it? It's very odd.
Yeah, and when you go up there, you can actually see the remains of the plane. Where they've not been able to bring it down because there's no way to count.
There's a couple of people that reported seeing apparitions up on the Peak District of pilots and things like that, you know, crewmen, you know. And I know they've got some plaques and commemorational things.
That has been... People have seen pilots up there, though, haven't they? I'm pretty sure.
At Winter Hill?
Yeah.
I'm not too sure.
I'm sure I've read something in because I was doing a load of news clippings on the paranormal and UFO stuff in the Bolton News, and I'm pretty sure I came across an article that somebody had actually seen a pilot on there.
Yeah.
I'll have to have a look through them because I've got them what you've gathered. Chris had them.
Yeah. That's right, yeah.
They were, and I've got them myself,
Yeah.
so I'll have a look through them.
Well, Chris has actually got footage as well that we gave him of the UFO up Winter Hill.
Yeah, I mean, I've filmed it up there, filmed UFOs up there, you know.
All sorts.
It was a...
Seen them, but never filmed them.
We got a really good one on film. It was a kind of a purpley coloured one, and it kind of just went disappeared again. But it was there for a while, so we filmed it. You know, there's some strange things that have been reported up there. But we've had quite a few places where we've been, where we've seen things and stuff. Ilkley Moor was another one which we investigated a few times for different reasons. There was a strange man there, weren't he? And
it was really weird, and to this day
that was a bit odd.
It kind of sticks with me because it's something that's
hot,
weird.
Very hot day.
It was really, really hot, and this guy was walking across the field, and he had like
it's like a heavy rain mat.
It was a long mat, but you couldn't see his hands.
Dark.
You couldn't see. It was dark. You couldn't see his face because the hood came out so far.
You wouldn't expect somebody wearing that on a hot sunny day, would you? It's just not right. Out of place.
Yeah, he was out of place, and he had boots on, and he come walking across this field, but obviously
on his own.
Yeah, he would have to walk up the embankment to the top, and I was just watching him walk, and I thought, and then the next thing is I turned round, and he stood there, and that's all he did. He stood there.
Just stood.
And I was watching, and then I turned away.
Weird.
And then I turned back, and he was there. He was just stood there. There was no features to him. He was quite a tall guy, very tall guy. And after about 20 minutes
of doing nothing but just
standing there,
you know, you think, what is going on here?
He turned and he walked down. And I was focused on this because I thought when he goes down, he's going to walk across the field again.
One bush.
Yeah, and he just walked, and he walked towards this bush, and he walked behind it, he never came out.
Never came out, and he was never there.
And I was watching that for a good 30 minutes. I was stood watching that bush. Never came out of it.
Don't know what that was.
I have, to this day, I mean, it kind of freaks me out a bit because it was so odd. I've never seen anything like that.
A few things that have been reported up there at Ilkley Moor, small beings, and you know, and of course we had the Philip Spencer case, the photograph and stuff, you know. But so there's quite a few things up there. It's been reported over the years.
It's weird.
You know, strange locations, but it doesn't really matter where we go. It seems to find us somewhere. This phenomena, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, even if we're travelling in cars, you know. It was an incident when I was driving years ago. It was I had a Sierra at the time. I'd just left my mother and father's house. I was just pulling away. It's night time, clear night as well. And suddenly a beam of light comes down from the sky, not like a torch, but like a pencil beam light, red, and hits the bonnet of my car. And then, for just like a second, I could clearly see it. Whoa, what is that? Stopped the car, jumped out, looking around, there's nothing. What the hell is that? Clear sky, and there's no aircraft up there, there's nothing. But I remember seeing it as a beam of red light.
In your bonnet, okay.
Not a mark, nothing. Just a... That was it. And it was like, that's what it was. I've no idea what that is. Never had it before. Never had it since then, so I don't know what that was. It was just one of those... You don't know what to call what these things mean.
No.
You know, it doesn't make any sense, you know. I had a little glitch in time once, and I took my auntie to Altrincham. She wanted some wool. So I parked outside this shop, waiting for her. I said, well, I'll leave the car engine running. No, not going to be long. You know, because I was always a bit dubious. I probably parked on double yellow, who knows, you know. So she goes into, I'm straight outside the shop, so she just pops into the shop. So I'm just waiting for her to come out and get with the wool. And a woman was walking past in front of me, crossing the road, and she had a handbag on her shoulder, and the strap slipped off the shoulder, but she caught it, you know what I mean? And as she was pulling it up, she saw me literally right there in the car, and she just sort of looked at me as if to say, oh God, did you see that? As she was probably advice or something, I don't know why, but she walked over, and then just as she got round the corner, there was a red sports car. And I remember looking at this sports car, so it stood out. I think it was like a Ferrari, and I thought, wow, Ferrari red sports car had come past. Probably come from Hale, it's a bit more posh up there. And then I sat there and I'm waiting for her and thinking. Then I look again, and this woman's walking across the road again. I thought, that's the woman that's just walked over there. It looks like that woman that's walked over there. She got in front of the car, it slipped off her shoulder. She grabbed it. She looked at me. It's the whole sequence again. And as she walked round the corner, I was sat there thinking, puzzled, thinking, where's the red Ferrari? And next, there it goes. And I thought, what just happened then? Did I have some type of precognition of something that was absolutely pointless, of a woman's handbag falling off her shoulder and a red car coming past? Or there's a little glitch or something? I don't know. And this is just weird. I don't know how to make. And I said to her when she got in the car, I said, I had a weird experience. I don't know what to make of that. She said, oh, maybe it was like, you know, precognition or something. I said, yeah, but why that? Don't know that woman. There's nothing significant about a handbag just falling off her shoulder and a red car coming past. You know, because people talk about precognition, it's usually of a significant event or something to do with them. No idea. Quirky things happen, don't they? Disappearances, items go disappearing.
Yeah.
Some things will never turn up. No. Some things do. Some just torment. You know, because I had pajamas on my bed. I'm quite regimental from being in the army, so I used to always put my pajamas on the bed. Yeah. At the end of the bed there, every night. You know, they're always in the same place. I know when Jackie does the washing, because she does washing on the weekends, don't you? And this is midweek. Yeah. So I go up there, put them there this morning. Where are they? I tell you what, they were not in the house. We searched the bins. We searched every cupboard, the washing basket, everything. They were not in the location. They were not on these premises, and they'd gone. And I give up. I said, right, okay, stop looking for it. Stop. I'll go out and back. We got some more, didn't we? Mm. And then it was about a month or something later. Yeah. There they are, back on the bed where I left them, in exactly the same place, as if they hadn't even been touched. You know? Mm. I was like, well, thank you. You know, where did they go for all that length of time? I do not know. But they were not in this house, were they? We said they've got to be. No, they weren't.
All the bins,
just vanished. You know? So we get that little thing now and again, don't we? We get things that just kind of disappear and don't know where they're going.
Playing little games with you.
Yeah, just little things now and again. You know, it was only about November, wasn't it, when we were on the landing upstairs and we could hear somebody pressing the buttons on our alarm downstairs. You know, when you press the buttons, put the codes in, you could hear this beep, 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 beep.
Yeah.
Beep, 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 beep.
Then we went downstairs.
Can
and
you
it
hear
stopped.
that? Somebody's pressing the buttons on the alarm. You know, and then as soon as we came down, it just stopped. You know, and we've even had the kitchen upstairs. We can hear stuff going on in the kitchen. The door's shut, kitchen door's shut, and you can hear pots and pans, chairs moving, all sorts of things.
As if somebody's putting the cutlery out. It's like somebody was making a meal in the kitchen.
You go in there, open the door.
Nothing. All in complete darkness. To this day, I still don't know how this happened, but it happened, and we were going to Scotland, and we were on the motorway.
We were going there investigating.
We were going to. No, Don wasn't with us. We were going.
Oh, is that a different?
This is a different occasion when we went up to stay with Nick and Sarah.
Right.
And we went up. And we pulled in at these services. We were on the road for about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And we pulled in at these services.
Yes.
And we, as we pulled up, there was a woman. And she
with a dog.
stood with a dog on a lead. And she had a very old... Do you remember the shell suits?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it was a bit. Yeah, it was a shell suit.
She stood out like a sore thumb.
She really did because it was dead bright.
The blue ones.
Yeah. It was dead bright.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we packed up and we went in, and all we did was we just went in, went to the toilet, came out, grabbed a coffee because we said we'd get something further on.
We left her there.
And she was there.
So we sped off.
And somebody had come out to her and said, we're going to have something to eat. She went, yeah, I'll just go and sort the dog out. So that's how prominent it was. So I'm sitting there and we're walking back to the car.
Yeah.
Gets in the car, puts coffee down, sets off on the motorway. Full speed ahead, away we go.
Yes, we left her
So
behind.
we left them behind.
Left them in there at that place.
So we're driving, must have been about 3.5 hours further on. We went to the last services on the station.
We pulled in at another
on the
service
motorway.
station.
And we pulled in to the car park. That woman was
She was there.
with the dog.
The same woman, same shell suit, same dog, and it was her.
Was it the same conversation as well?
No.
Didn't hear no conversation.
Didn't hear anything there.
And I kind of like, I looked at him and I said, that's
that same woman.
that can't be that. There's no way.
How
they've
did she get
overtook us.
past us? Because she couldn't have do it even in a car. They left them there, and we sped off.
What's the chances of that though? Yeah. What is the chances
For them
of
to already
that?
been there, they looked like they'd been there a bit. So
Yeah. She had the
like-
dog.
It wasn't like just getting out of a car or anything.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And of all the service stations in between, she happened to be at the same one we did.
And we weren't sort of going 50 mile an hour in the first lane. We were in the fast lane going 70 or something. You know.
She was doing
so.
70 mile an hour.
How did she get here?
I've to this day at that.
It puzzled that, wasn't it? Puzzling.
But it was so prominent because of the shell suit. Because
It's something you notice.
you do notice that you know that there's no way on this earth people will walk around with shell suits on nowadays. It's the thing of the past. But yet she had hers on at that first service station, and we had the conversation.
She was the same woman.
It was definitely the same.
And the
woman.
same dog, and the same colour lead, and
Yeah.
there's hundreds of things, or little things. You say it's the same.
It was weird.
I don't know.
I don't know. From that day
No
to this,
explanation for it. It was weird,
The
wasn't it?
skeptic was, she must have passed you up motorway.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Didn't know how she get past them.
Well, yeah, that's right.
But that's because I thought that. I thought, well, she must have done because I said that, didn't I? I said, but then I thought, well, how did she get past us so fast? I mean, we would have had a good miles ahead of her.
We must have been miles and miles ahead of him. Miles.
So you think they were
Easily.
flesh and blood then? Real people?
Well, they looked like it,
Well,
didn't they?
they definitely looked it.
Everything looked normal.
Everything looked real, you know, and it's like, how the hell did
When
that
things
happen?
like that happen, do you ever feel as though you're being followed?
I have been followed. I was on the MOD watch list for 2 years.
Were you?
Oh yeah. It's my own fault. Winter Hill, sorry, not Winter Hill, when I was up at Ilkley, on the top of Ilkley Moor, if you look across to the other hills, you look across towards Otley, you can see Menwith Hill.
You can, yeah.
I thought, what's those domes? I thought, So I started checking into this, right? So I came across a case in 1976. A UFO came down near there, and the local residents, people came out from that department, that NSA, National Security Agency, and started knocking on the doors of people's homes to see if this landed craft came down. And for only a short time, and a number of residents had seen it. So they were knocking on people's doors and asking if they'd seen this craft come down. And the only thing they wanted to know was, did you see the door open and close? And, on it, if anybody got close enough to see a door open and close on it, and did it open and close like an iris of a camera? That's the only question he asked. I thought,
That's a shame.
what a weird case. So I heard about that case. I thought, I want to know a bit more about it. So I started to do a thorough investigation on the place. Realised when I got there that the roads don't exist around it. Not an A to Z. And I sat there right outside the base thinking, what's going on here then?
Yeah, with all the cameras up
Then they had a tap on the glass window, and the tapping was coming from a machine gun. Tap, tap. Move on. And I thought, I want some photographs of this place, you know what I mean? I want to know, what is this? So anyway, I think I got chased off a couple of times from that place. And then, so I had to get a big telescopic lens and go about half a mile away on the hill over there. I got a big telescope, it's like this long, and zoomed right in. Took loads of big A4 colour photographs of the whole place. And I thought, it was a stupid thing to do, I don't know why I did it. But I thought, well, I want to know about this place. So I thought, I'm going to write to them. I'm going to write to the National Security Agency and ask them, what is this place? So Daft Me sends it to this general at Fort Meade, America, the National Security Agency headquarters.
Yeah.
I was followed. They tapped me they tapped me phone. They got into my mail. I had a special thing put on my phone because basically I knew it was being intercepted, and it was by remote. Then they caught them outside the house in the actual green telephone things, like you have all the wires and stuff. They were out there about 3 o'clock in the morning. And I had a friend who was over, and we were just talking about the cases and stuff. And as you do, time runs on, so you got about 3 o'clock, so he's leaving. And I walk out there with him, his name was Colin, and they're there. And I thought, well, who's these in a white van and just plain overalls, no signia, and they're working on that in the middle at 3 o'clock in the morning? And we walked up a little bit to sort of say, what are you doing? And they got really aggressive and started walking towards him and said, oh, it's all right, don't worry about it and stuff. And then next minute I get these letters saying that, I could be, what was it now? I'm deemed prejudiced to the country. It was illegal for me to take photographs of the place. And you can find these details on the internet, on the MOD website, buried away somewhere. It's public, but you wouldn't find it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to put it public. And it basically says if you sketch, make a model, note, photograph, you could be deemed prejudiced to the country. In other words, you could be a spy.
Yeah.
And then it goes on to say you do not have to be guilty to be convicted. And I thought, oh, shit, what's happened here? I didn't realise what I got myself into. So anyway, I got some letters, the MOD basically warned me and this, that and the other. And then next minute, I'm on the MOD watch list for 2 years. Watching me like a hawk, just because I was asking questions. Well, I knew about HOMEC, you see, which is Home Office Monitoring Electronic Communications, Project HOMEC. And that was a very secretive thing that British Telecom were involved in with the government to eavesdrop on phones. It all goes back to London Home Office. Underneath, you've got all these computers, and they're recording. So if you say certain words in a conversation like bomb, for example, they'll start recording. And then someone will physically listen to that back at some point. And so I knew all about what the dodgy stuff they were getting up to. But Daft Me, right, I didn't realise at the time that they've got a geostationary satellite looking down on the base. So they're watching me, watching them. You know, so they knew who I was and everything. So I obviously upset the apple cart there.
Well, you got your dad round. Yeah, but he got his dad round because he could hear the clicking on the phone.
Well, my dad was pretty high in BT, you see. My dad was high in BT, and he said, well, we have special devices now that we can check to see if your phone's been monitored. I said, well, you put me on it. He said, right, well, if you do, if it is getting monitored, I'm going to switch it on tomorrow, say in the morning, 10 o'clock or whatever. I said, and if it is being monitored, our system will dial you back and let you know, it'll tell you. Oh, right. Tomorrow morning comes, I get this phone call, pick up, it's this electronic voice from BT's equipment saying your phone is being monitored via remote source. That was what, 94? And they were doing it by remote source. So in other words, somehow they're listening in remotely on to my calls. You know, and I thought, bloody hell, literally within minutes I came on, you know, so I knew what they were doing, you know, but when they followed me though in cars and stuff, the car had a binary 00111001, that was the registration, and that registration doesn't exist. But it was like O's and ones, 1001110 or something like that.
Yeah, you notice that.
And that is so weird because it's not a normal plate, and it's not even really a private plate, really. And I couldn't find it. I had friends and police force and stuff said, "It doesn't exist that for." It's just following me. But they always, if they wanted to follow me and I didn't see them, then that they could easily. There's a professional. But no, I could always see him, one or two cars behind, sometimes right behind me. Yeah. It's like they want me to know I'm being followed, you know, scare tactics.
Do you ever see them outside on the street? Or were they a bit more discreet?
Only when they were in the telephone, the green telephone thing in the early hours of the morning. But when I approached them, they got aggressive and started walking. It's all right, buddy, you know, do what you need to do, and didn't mess with them. You know, they're just doing the job, I get it. But they obviously, like somebody said to me, he said, Steve, you asked the wrong questions and they want to know who the hell are you? So I caught their attention. It wasn't in a good way. And then, of course, I ended up on the MOD watch list for 2 years. I had to behave for 2 years. Otherwise, I could be shipped off for being prejudiced. In other words, I could have been charged for being a spy.
Yeah.
Just for taking some photos and asking a bloody question. We were doing some research on Project Doorway on Sumerian demons, which are dogmen.
Yes.
The dogmen, bloody dogmen. They've even done images of him and sculptures, yeah. And we got into this esoteric research, and all hell broke loose because we did that. Well, shit kicked off here, you know. I was battling it, and I rang Barry in the morning to tell him, and before I could even tell him, he was like, oh my God, what happened last night here? And it's like, so it was happening there at the same time as well. But he got through his threshold, he got over his threshold. So this thing there's hierarchy, there's things that can't, and there's things that...
He's definitely got something, there is definitely something in Barry's house, because if you remember when we was over there...
There is, yeah. But it's got a resident. It might be a resident,
I think it must be something, because we were in the... What you got to bear in mind is that they live in this house, and there's no... The furthest house is probably about a mile down the road, is his neighbour, and a mile up the road that way. So like big houses. And we was all in there, in the living room. There was me, you, Kira...
Which is Barry's daughter's daughter.
Yeah, Donna and Barry. And we were all sat watching telly, and all of a sudden I heard footsteps upstairs.
Yeah, that's a resident, that's a local resident.
There's nobody in that house. And I just looked at Donna, and Donna looked at me, and then I just looked away, and I thought, okay. That's it.
There are always things if you're working in the subject. But he's pretty good at sort of keeping sort of negative stuff out. But not on that occasion. It completely had no effect whatsoever. So there are things that we can deal with, and there are things that we just you don't deal with. You got no control over it.
That night, Donna was in a bad way, wasn't she?
This thing had her it had her trapped in the bedroom.
All right.
It appeared in the corner of the room, you know, and Barry knew what it was. And of course he realised what I'd been doing. because of the research we'd done the day before.
Yeah.
And as soon as we took a step back from that research, things calmed down. So basically, you get slapped on the hand sometimes. You're like,
Yeah.
don't pry too much, guys. You're pushing your luck. But they sent a big boy out. You know, they didn't send the average guys out.
Yeah.
They sent a big boy out.
Yeah.
You know, this thing came through my bed, came up through the bottom of the bed, and grabbed hold of me. And bloody fighting this thing off.
So they've got like bouncers then.
It's this, they sent the big boy out, and the big boy came out and give us the old slap around a bit, you know. But you learn, you know, and you think, okay, well, God, let's not dive too much. Let's skirt around it a little bit. So now we have to be careful that we don't catch the eye too much. Because when you really do catch the eye too much, you know, you start getting all sorts of shit will happen.
Yeah.
You know, and you'll go through so much bad luck.
I'm going to be dead.
Oh, so basically his fight or flight kicked in.
Yeah.
He's telling him.
Yeah.
It's a warning mechanism.
So what he did, he
Gotta
got
listen.
out of there.
Good, because you got to listen to it. Yeah.
But it was the sound of the children that brought him there.
Yeah, it's beckoning.
Yeah.
The beckonings. They do that. The beckonings happen all the time. You know the aerial school phenomena
Yeah,
that happen. Everybody known it for years and years and years. But what they don't tell you is that it isolated 4 children out of the whole school.
Right, yeah.
Right, and it put on a show. It had an apparition, like an apparition, of an alien grey. And it was skipping and jumping along, happy. And then would boop, disappear and like a piece of film, reappear, skipping and jumping along. And he was doing this, and these kids were locked on.
Yeah.
They were watching this. What they weren't watching is the real entity coming over. And this was about 60, 70 yards away on top of a craft. It was stood on there. And while still doing that, this thing's getting closer and closer and closer. Right? And I didn't even see this thing until it was literally 2 or 3 yards away from them. And at that point, when they realised it was there, it said, I want you to come with us. You know, there's the deception. There's the you know what I mean? The beckoning, the deception. Is that firing mechanism inside you, it's there for a reason. You know, I always say to people, listen to it, it's your warning mechanism. Because just because you don't see it or hear it, your body knows it's there, something there, don't like it. It's warning you. You listen to your body, that's what Barry says, you gotta listen to your body. You know, but the thing is now, we know that the phenomenon grabs us. You know, we can buy these headbands now, they put on your head, your flow bands. It measures your brainwave activity. And I tell you what, fast as we recorded it, it's 20 seconds, and the phenomenon grabbed you. You know what I mean? 20 seconds. You've got 20 seconds. It might even be faster, who knows? But you've lost your discernment after 20 seconds if they want to. Yeah. And once they've got you, you know, you're not going to think properly.
Sometimes you don't have to be in that mood. And if you're going to put yourself there, it does take about 20 seconds for it to kick in.
They can act very fast without you even knowing. You know, because we've been on locations when we were up on the mountains in Palm Springs. It had us basically. We were like rabbits in the headlights, weren't we? With this bloody thing appeared, it was like a bloody mothership thing, whatever.
That's the one where Barry said, "Right, come on, get out."
Well, basically, I mean, thank God he's a bit more in tune than I am. You know, a bit more susceptible, and we were all like watching this thing in awe. It's like a scene from Spielberg film.
Yeah.
It's like this, trying to bring me around. I said, what? He's like, of course, I look around into the darkness of the desert, and they were on the ground by that time. So it was like, let's go.
Yeah.
And let's go quick. And we ran to the cars, we got in the cars and we got away. We did get away, but it wasn't good feeling. We were all in alert mode. The bodies were telling us, you know, oh my God, you know, we've overstayed our welcome. But isn't that just like the magician's hand put a lovely, beautiful colours, and you are locked, you know, and whilst it's doing this puppet show, they're coming up behind, you know, you wouldn't have even known. Well, it was Barry who was alerted me to it, because he knows how it works, and he's usually quite aware that when there's a beautiful show going on, is you look behind you first, because sometimes that's what they're doing, you know. Well, we hot-tailed it out of there, didn't we?